Welcome to the You Are a Force podcast channel, your go-to space for real stories, fearless dreams, and unstoppable women rewriting the rules. And the force behind this podcast. Here is your host, Binoli Botadara.
Hi everyone, welcome to You Are a Force, the podcast where we celebrate women who just don't build $1 million empire, but they also shape future, culture, create lasting impact, and lift others as they lead from the inside out. I'm your host Binoli Botadara, and today I have someone very special. They say that in next 10 years, attention will be more valuable than oil. But in a world where constant noise, algorithms, 24/7 visibility, how do you make people stop, listen, and believe? Today's guest, who she manages just that so that the attention is actually something which gets converted into a trust. She is a founder and the CEO of JKO Agency, a Forbes 40 under 40 CEO, co-founder of Hidden Local, a NAMI mental health advocate, and a Netty Awards judge. Oh my God, I wonder how she does all of that. But she is a name to reckon with in public relations, and thousands of agencies can buy you definitely a headline, but a very few can help you build a legacy. And she does that so cleverly and so effortlessly. So I cannot wait to dive into the world of hers. So please welcome Jessica Kopach. Jessica, thank you so much for being on You Are a Force.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel so thankful and that you reached out, and I'm very, very honored to be on your show.
I'm so glad we actually made this happen. But when I was looking at your profile, and I always get really fascinated that we don't really understand what really goes behind what we see in terms of a celebrity, in terms of an athlete, in terms of a brand. But there's so much which goes on. And at one point in time, when I finished my MBA, I wanted to get into public relations because I thought I'm very good with people and relationship. But when I started to learn and understand, I'm like, this is insane. And then I did not go into it, and I ended up doing completely different, which is finance. But that's why the whole mass communication and everything quite fascinates me. So I'm really proud of you for what you're doing, and
Thank you.
I cannot wait to dive into the world of Jessica. So can I call you Jessie?
Yes, you can call me Jessie.
Perfect. So, Jesse, let's start from the top, right? They say that our childhood actually forms us who we are. It's sort of a source code for our career. But you have a very beautiful artistic layer when you were growing up. You were a watercolor artist. So I want to understand that how does this creative person get into something what you're doing? So when you were growing up in Southern California, what was your dream? What did you want to become? Like something outlandish, like an astronaut or a doctor, or you wanted to become an artist? And how was it growing up, and how did you land up here?
I was actually born in Chicago originally,
Okay.
and was there for my adolescence, and then moved to Colorado, and
Okay.
then moved in San Diego in '99. But
Okay.
kind of been a little bit everywhere, but I've always just been kind of creative all through school, and I loved creative writing. I was an awful writer, like grammatically, though. I was awful. Um, I don't think I ever had a dream to be anything necessarily. I just was very into like the projects that were given at school that let us kind of be creative. My uncle was a professional artist growing up, so I always went to his art shows, and it
Oh,
always fascinated me that, that can be a job, like something that you love you can actually put into
mm-hmm.
something that, you are going to work for the rest of your life. But I've always gravitated towards artistic or creative opportunities for sure.
Love that. And then you studied business and finance, right? And then back in 2014, and then you started and launched the JKO agency, which has a mission of uplifting women. So can you tell us how did you actually start this particular agency? And I believe you started with a word of mouth. So can you take us through that journey?
Yes, so I was actually going to college. I kind of changed my major a few times. I didn't really know what I was going for, but I wanted to get away from home and experience something new. So I did, visual communications, business finance, kinesiology, all of
Wow.
which I was working three jobs, going to school, and I was more of like a work ethic type of person. So I feel like I learned a lot more
Mm.
when I was able to apply
Hmm.
or learn while I was, at my positions. At the time, I was working at or managing a salon in Santa Barbara, and I had a client come in asking if I wanted a part-time position at an advertising agency. And
Wow.
I was like, oh, I don't know what that is, but that sounds
Yeah.
cool. So I started working at this advertising agency doing media buying. It was more direct response, more of like, the 800 numbers on the television shows or the TV
Mhm.
that people call, and it was like lead generation. And I loved the fast pace of it. Like I loved, everything was so urgent and deadline, and we'd all be on our like it was my first job that I would have to like check emails and be
Mm.
very like attentive to all these deadlines. So I really liked, I think, the anxiety of it. It kind of just kept me going and
Yeah.
excited, and um it was hard. It was different because I had to learn it from the ground up
Mhm.
at,
Mm.
at this agency. And then I worked there for 5 years, and all still going to school. I graduated, and I liked more the health aspect. Once I graduated, I thought I was going to get into more physical therapy, kinesiology, health type of thing. And I kind of did some odd end jobs that didn't necessarily it wasn't really me. And I still was
Mm.
working at the agency. And then when I left that agency, I, or maybe it was like a in between kind of thing, but I had seen a job or position posted for communications, PR and communications, health and wellness coordinator. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool for a marketing company. I'm like, it must be the same thing. I
Yeah.
actually had no idea what PR was. Like,
Of course.
I never knew what it was. I just was like, oh, it sounds cool. So I went and did the interview, and I really liked their ethic. It was all about green marketing. They did green construction, green health, everything that was sustainable. Um, and the woman who owned it was it was just very inspiring. And I was like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, this is so cool and
Mm.
creative. And it just really drew me in. And you know, with my background, I didn't have a lot of background in PR at all. So they wanted me to write a press release, submit that, and come in for another interview. And I was like, I don't even know what a press release is, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So my aunt, ironically from Chicago, worked at Style magazine in
Okay.
Chicago, and I called her and I'm like, I have to write this press release. I don't know what a press release is, and I need help. She ended up writing it for me. And I submitted it, and I ended up as an assistant in I think it was the construction department. And I really started from the bottom. And once I got in, I loved writing, but then I realized how awful I was at writing. As far as like my creativeness was there, but it was more of the grammatical and the structure of what
Mm.
press releases and pitching was. So it was
Mhm.
very, very like, it was a learning curve for sure. And I
Mm.
remember the girl that was training me, she was an English major, and she would always, look at all my writing and red cross it and be like, what does this even mean? And just made me feel like I feel so just not I just don't know if I could do this. Like I feel just so,
Yeah.
not smart. And I just kept working at it. And I ended up moving up in that agency all the way up to account executive of like five departments. And it was definitely fast paced, and we had so many clients. I got so much knowledge just from being there from the bottom and, working the top. At the time, boss was very like Devil Wears Prada kind of um you know
We
her
all
her
have. We all
yes, it
have that.
was just very I was owned by them for a long time, and I
Mm,
loved it, but also at the same time I felt I did like I wasn't being valued
yeah.
anymore, and I
Or
gained all the knowledge that I
celebrated.
needed, and I started realizing like, okay, I can do this. I can do this better. I'm running all these departments by myself with,
Mm.
interns, and um I kind of came to a moment there where, I came to go get a review. And at the time I was like, I'm like, they're gonna give me, a raise. I'm gonna be okay, like excited to go into this review. And then they asked me, why do I feel like I deserve it? And like
Oh,
something in me just kind of dropped. I'm like,
yeah.
I will work for $1. Like I am the type of person who will work the hardest, and I will do everything I can to make
Yeah.
the job happen. But when you don't feel valued anymore, or you feel like
I
questioned,
hear you.
then you kind of just my passion just went away. Like, and I was like, I don't
I
feel like I could do this anymore. So I literally quit that day, like not expecting I was going to quit. I don't even know what I was thinking because I didn't have any other income. Um, and I drove up to San Francisco to see one of my best friends just to stay with her. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but the agency kept calling me back saying like, we'll do whatever you want. We'll give you whatever you want. And I'm
What's the
like,
point?
yeah, my heart wasn't in it anymore.
Yeah.
So, after that, I kind of just, I don't know, I don't even know where it came from, but I just started kind of looking into like building something myself. And I did some odd end jobs subcontracting before that. But I did build Jayco, um, in the midst, and
Mhm.
I got my first client by myself, and I was so excited. And it's crazy how when you realize how you can speak on certain, on these expertise and actually feel like you're doing, like
Mm.
it's like the confidence it definitely has built throughout the years, obviously, because I was always somebody else was always speaking and they were doing all the
Yeah.
strategy and the alignment and all of it. But once you did all the work, you know how to do it. And it's, it takes that, I know, age and experience to be able
Of
to come
course.
up to be that ability to do it. Um, but I remember like how good I felt just being able to have
Your
my own
own
morals
dream.
and
Yeah.
to be able to run something on my own. And I just kind of built from there. It was a lot of word of mouth, a lot of networking. I had a great community in Santa Barbara. And I did a lot of like nonprofit opportunities too. I would do things for friends, and, I did everything I could just to kind of build in the
Yeah,
best
of
way.
course. Of
And
course.
so, yeah, and then I think it took about like 7 years no, not seven, probably in 2016 is when I moved back to San Diego, from Santa Barbara. And it's when I like hired my first, I had hired a few people in between,
Mm-hmm.
but my first like full-time employee, um, Brittany, she is like my right hand, and she's been with me since then. And it's been almost 10 years, I guess.
Wow.
Um, and, we've built ever since then. I mean, there's been so many lessons in between, but I mean, having somebody work alongside you, or, people that actually value and trust you. And I am such a big believer on, making sure my team feels valued, because I feel like I've, been in so many different positions where, when you don't feel that, your heart's
Not
not in it.
worth
And
it.
I want my team to know that I am nothing without them. Like they are my rock, and I feel so fortunate to have the team that I do. And it is, it's something AI can't fill, it's so important.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. Oh my God, Jesse, I got goosebumps so many times when you were talking the story, talking about your story or sharing your journey, because I could resonate so many things. And when you were saying about when you're not celebrated, and I worked all my career in finance, and you put your 200% every single day. There are crazy numbers, crazy targets. You work long hours, weekends, everything. And when you go for a review, and then they have to give you the ratings, and then they would make sure that you feel miserable about what you've not done, which they would never tell you that you haven't done that till that
Hmm.
very day. And I also quit my job because of the same reason, that if I have to ask for my promotion, I don't think there is any point. And I think it's a very feminine or very women's thing, because women usually, like even as a mother, even as like in general, I think they are exceptional in terms of asking for others, or negotiating for others. But when
Hmm.
it comes to their own needs and requirements and worth, they lack. You won't believe,
Absolutely.
I came to London to do my master's at London Business School, and there was a negotiation and bargaining. It was an elective, and then before we go in the class, there was an assignment which had to be done, and the professor had given us two questions: your best negotiation till date and your worst negotiation till date. We had to write essays and then send it to him.
Hmm.
I literally wrote an email to him. I do not have the best negotiation experience, because I was miserable for my own self, and I still struggle even today, but I'm improving. And I
Hmm.
have recognized that it's my shortcoming. And a lot of my friends who actually push me, that you can ask, you can do this. Even negotiating my rent, negotiating like basic things. I was really bad. And that's when I feel that if I'm not valued, if I have to ask for my worth, I mean, what's the point, right?
I
So
totally agree. Yeah.
I totally could resonate with every word you said. And I was like, oh my God, this feels like, okay, fine, I'm not the only one. But
Yeah.
But I totally believe that, when you create a sort of ecosystem around you in your personal life, your professional life, I think that really, really, takes you a long way, because people believe in you and that's why they come in, not the short term gain what they see in you. And that's something which doesn't come in seconds or days. I'm sure you would have built that credibility with your work and ethics. So well done, you.
Hmm. Well,
And
thank you.
and you have secured 5,000 placements, which is a fantastic number. And when you consider statistically, only 3.43% of the PR pitches ever actually result into the story. And your agency covers a massive spectrum, from beauty to wellness to finance, even constructions. So, can you take us through a poster child or a turnaround story at Jayco, and how do you actually go and approach? Do you identify the problem areas, or do you identify the opportunities? How does that entire thing work?
So initially, I guess a poster child client, we have our initial kickoff call, and it's really where we hear the client's story from the ground up, like everything from the beginning to the end of how they, got to the point of whether it's promoting themselves or promoting a brand or promoting, an event, whatever it may be. Um, because we really hear every opportunity for us to kind of they're golden nuggets, I guess, maybe them thinking that they're a mom, they don't think that that's a big deal, or them thinking that they, you know, grew up in a small town and then now are there's so many different angles and aspects that we kind of gain when we hear the initial story. And I think, you know, what really resonates is connecting with the clients and being able to see opportunities outside of just necessarily their scope and what they focus on in their niche. Because everything kind of connects, like it,
Mm,
whether it's, I'm trying to find a good example, but if it's a fashion brand,
mhm,
like whether they're sustainable or they're focusing on, or they're women owned, or their business is, ethical or
Yeah. Some
what
USP,
building they're in.
basically.
Everything kind of connects in some shape,
Yeah,
way, or form. And
sure.
the whole PR landscape has really changed since I started. It's changing every day.
How
But
do you mean?
um, when I first started, I mean, it was a lot of print, I guess, opportunities more so. And a lot of people obviously were working within these publications
Uh-huh.
or outlets, but now it's a lot more freelance workers who
Okay.
work on, 10 different outlets at a time, or, they have all these different opportunities that they don't necessarily just focus on beauty. They're focusing on, you know, beauty, fashion,
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, everything in between. So if you connect with one writer, you're kind of in a place where you can offer
Multiple.
several opportunities, and
Yeah.
they see value in that, and they come to us because
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, we're working on this, do you have anybody that fits, or whatever that may be. But we build trust, or we build rapport with a lot of the media. That's obviously our job. And
Yeah.
I've worked with other people who don't necessarily respect the media, or they think that the media owe them something. And to me, I'm like, I've never had that mindset. They're
Yeah.
doing the work, and we're asking, it's like,
Yeah.
it just kind of baffled me. And I mean, to me, I've always looked at them as like a hierarchy, and keeping those relationships are so important to us. So it's
Mm.
like keeping our clients and the media apart is so necessary, because, if they connect directly sometimes, unless it's, an interview or whatever it may be, we just are able to be the communicators and make sure, whether our client's mad or whatever it may be, that we keep it all even keel and everybody's happy. Because if the media outlet gets sour with us, then they'll never want to work with us with any client. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
keeping the relationships with the client and the media, everybody happy, I guess. I
That's
think I'm
really
going off
key.
on tangent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Do you want to share any story which actually sort of was a turnaround story for Jaco, or something which you are very proud of? I mean, I'm sure all the clients are very special and important, but is there
hmm
any story which actually made a lot of difference in your eyes?
Yeah, we worked with a child psychiatrist, therapist, and sh like, she was local, and, really hadn't done any sort of media relations ever. And, y- obviously her dream was to be on Today's Show, and that's really hard to do, when you're first starting out. And we're like, we have to build and, do all this stuff. And Um, I just remember from when she started to, the present day of just the mass, um, there's been so much opportunity that has stemmed from our outreach and being able to angle the outreach. I mean, we learned just pitching her, but
Mm-hmm.
also, she took every opportunity there was. It wasn't like, oh, this isn't good enough, or this is too small. Or, I mean, that's really a poster child, is, seeing the value of every single opportunity. It doesn't matter if they have millions of followers or 500. I mean, you're still
Mm.
connecting with different audiences. And, um, you know, some people just don't think it's good enough. And
Yeah.
it builds so many different levels of credibility when you're able to speak to every audience. And um, that really helps us do our job well,
Mm.
because it builds their portfolio, and that's what they need to get on these types of, bigger opportunities or whatever it may be.
Mm.
So, yeah, I remember the day when we actually got her on Today's Show, and she did a whole segment, and she was so over the moon and happy.
Oh,
And, I mean, there's been so many opportunities with her, but I just remember that, her
that
first saying
moment.
that at the beginning, and then it happening,
How
and
sweet.
seeing how happy she was. And it's just it feels good to us, obviously, because we're like, oh my gosh, we did it. But also, it's just so validating seeing that how the work we do actually is worth it. And it's not just, helping her. She's
And
actually helping other people because she's explaining how to help,
100%, 100%. I was
parents of
about to say
children.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That that's just not limited to her impact, but
Hmm.
what she's going to do with that opportunity of being on that show. I mean, of course, she's going to get the limelight and exposure, but ultimately, it's going to have more hidden advantages to others as well. And
Hmm.
I mean, kudos to you and kudos to her. Really, really amazing.
I mean, there's so many, I think there's so many examples, but that one just kind of popped in my head. But yeah,
Because I think it must have felt personal to you, right? I think that's the reason that came to you, not like one of the $1 million, brands which you worked on, but that really says who you are, to be very fair. And it literally made me emotional while you were saying because
Mhm.
it came through very straight from your heart, and which I could feel it. So thanks for sharing that. But
Of
that was
course.
also something which I was just thinking that most of the times I mean, we have the cost pressure and the shareholder pressure of just performance only marketing. So,
Hmm.
how do you reframe when you go to the CEOs who are into the transactional mindset, that to convince them that it's not just the literal cost, but basically they say that, if you actually invest into the right brand and credibility, the company can boost the valuations up to 15 to 20%. So, how do you literally convince the CEOs, both in the dollar and in the legacy term, that it is going to have an impact to the brand's soul?
That is the hardest thing I think we run into, especially with like, the analytical finance, focused people who are just looking for the KPIs or, the numbers. And it's like, PR is really hard
Mm-hmm.
to, I mean, gauge and
Yeah, not tangible.
it's hard to perceive what you're going to be getting because people are like, so can you tell me what I'm getting next month? And we're like, no, because it's like we can't, and like, editors rarely tell us or producers or whatever when things are going to be aired or when things are going to run or, it's like it'll be next month or it'll be soon, but we don't have that date. And so we get, really reprimanded on when these things are going to run, and then also the KPIs, which we give them the audience numbers, but then that doesn't make sense because it's not converting to website clicks or whatever it may be. But
Hmm.
I mean, what we really try to share with the brands or the people that are not getting that essentially is just we're building your portfolio, like we're building your trust, your credibility. I mean, you're
Mm-hmm.
touching different audiences. This is for your sales team. So whatever we're doing is basically something for you to utilize for your marketing purposes. So if you're not using it on social or your newsletters or sharing, the insight that you're sharing on these segments or these articles and amplifying the messaging and sharing it in your sales marketing,
Hmm.
then that's missed opportunity.
Hmm.
So yes, these opportunities are all amazing and they're building the credibility, but do you have the logos on your website? Are you using them, you know
Hmm.
using the quotes from these opportunities to
Hmm.
amplify your social media? Or um, there's just so much build on not, you have these interviews or whatever they may be, but there's so many golden nuggets you could use for marketing purposes
Hmm.
rather than just one hit,
Hmm.
and I think
Hmm.
that that's the real value is, when people see these, high markers or these, interviews, or they get to know the founders or really the
Yeah.
brand behind it. And I think that the empathy behind things is still really there and the connection with people.
Hmm.
I mean, the AI is really a difficult, barrier, I think,
Yeah.
but I think people are craving connection, and
Yeah.
that's our job, is to tell the story that,
100%.
that the KPIs don't necessarily share. So, yeah.
No, true, true. But Jesse, the brands always never have the rosy days, right? There are
Mhm.
some brands which look untouchable, but they
Mhm.
still have a facade that crumbles. And so I want to pick your brain, or ask you that did you experience any of your clients going through a similar phase? And did you have like any situation where it was very, very expensive damage which was already done and it was more like a PR crisis? And how did you manage that? And how did you turn that story around? If you can tell us maybe some experience.
Um, there was a brand that we worked with. It was like a nutraceutical company. They sold like health and wellness supplements, and they brought us in crisis. They were working with like an influencer doctor who kind of went rogue and started, bad mouthing to their community about, um, I don't know, it was just very unethical. Everything that was being presented and shared on their social and all of her audience that was watching on, social media kind of, it was like a following cult. So it was really hurting the brand, and they hired her on for a lot of money to become a partner of this
Wow.
brand. And it just basically went from zero, like 100 to zero from where they were at because she had a miscommunication or whatever it
Wow.
was with the founder. So,
Can you ethically do that?
I mean, there was a lot of lawsuit or like legalness behind it, and it was such a mess.
I'm sure.
And what was just a bummer was like within the company, there was friends with her. So I think, there's a lot of bad energy coming into that. It was just, yeah. So when we came in, it was really hard to really explain like our steps of how we should go about this because
Hmm.
they couldn't let go of the fact that they were going to lose all these followers and how do we keep them. But
Hmm.
it's really just explaining like you have to go after different new audiences. It
Hmm.
can't just be her, cult. It has to be speaking to
Creating.
other people and audiences and presenting it in a different way because
Hmm.
it was, yeah, it was a very niche market as far as like no vax, that kind of thing that you have a whole other audience, you have so many more audiences to really share
Hmm.
this product too. So, um, I think when brands are hurt, I think emotionally too, it's really hard to get them to kind of step away and look at the bigger picture. So, I think it was a lot of consulting, a lot of just really re-strategizing, kind of rebranding. Um, but we really, went through the thick mud of it and finally kind of opened the doors to new opportunity. And they saw the value of, the PR side of things because I don't
Hmm.
necessarily think that they knew what, PR had the ability to do other than, kind of putting out a press release or whatever statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we were able to speak, to like, the Whole Foods and the, really industry scope people who actually are interested in the product line, not necessarily, I think they were more focused on the social end of things. So we started kind of opening those doors, and I
Hmm.
that really kind of amplified their messaging, and they became in a brighter light. I mean, it took a long time, but I when they finally like realized the value and could step away emotionally
Hmm.
from that situation, um, it really helped with the brand being able to sustain. So that was a one circumstance that I saw a lot of value in. But I mean, for a lot of brands, we see it's a lot of internal kind of miscommunication, I think. And I can that's one thing that like kind of hinders growth for a lot of people, which is unfortunate. Whether it's like the trust or it's there's one bad apple and it just like kind of feeds
Hmm.
or somebody, it's like those people that don't think they need to learn anymore and they know
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to really, share that we're like trying to help these
Hmm. Hmm.
brands when there's
Hmm.
somebody thinking that they know everything, they could do it all. But it's like we come in wanting to help, wanting to partner. We're not trying to take over anybody's job. We're just trying
Mm.
to help and give you more opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a lot of circumstances, but the biggest one is probably like internal that hinders like growth for a lot of brands, which is really unfortunate. But
But it is the reality, right?
mhm, mhm,
And like you said, it's totally true that everyone thinks that they know the best, and you are an outsider. What do you know of a company or a product?
mhm,
And we have been doing this since a long time. But about that story, I genuinely feel that people have short-term memory, and in today's time, people move very quickly and forget
mhm,
what really happened. So it's the narrative which one creates. So in a good and bad way, both, right?
mhm.
I don't know if you've watched this movie called Wag the Dog.
I don't
I
know.
would highly recommend you to watch it. So it's actually the opening scene of the movie is basically a president elect actually is campaigning and in a
Mhm,
school, and he has his hands under this underneath the skirt of a schoolgirl. So if that story comes out, he is definitely not getting elected, right? So the PR agency and his communication team, how they play, what fake, stories they come out with, and every point in time there is a fake war, there is this, so everyone's attention gets diverted, and
mhm,
it just made me believe that so many times what we hear and read is so fabricated, especially in
mhm.
today's time, that that it's there is absolutely no free press, in a way. So
Yeah.
I think it works a lot of times for bad things, but it has also worked in terms of turning the brands around, in terms of if there are some mishaps which already happened, you can still, you know, undamage that and then move on.
Mhm. Yeah, we always urge everybody to take the high road and never to harp on the negative, whether it is, somebody bad mouthing, you always focus on more of the light,
Yeah,
and we never try to, like, I know a lot of people want to go after whoever is shaming them, but
no.
that is the one thing that can really, really, hinder a lot of things. So it's
Absolutely. I believe a lot in
time. Yeah.
energy. So
Mhm.
if I'm going to waste my energy, I have limited source of energy. If you are bad mouthing me, if I'm going to waste my energy on you, then ultimately I have very less resources which are left to do something good. I might as
Absolutely.
well. Best thing is to ignore you. You do you, and I'll focus on
I
what.
agree. Let them.
Let them.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, totally. I totally get it. But I want to, when I was doing research on you, one of the most fascinating things was about being in the most elite list, which is Forbes
Mhm.
40 under 40 CEO, and which was so fascinating. So, once, before I go into the question, a few months ago, I got a call from FT 40 under 40 on my work
Mhm.
landline. And the person said, "Oh, is this Binoli?" And then I'm calling from Financial Times. We're doing this 40 under 40. Can I take your interview? And I was like, "Excuse me, sorry, is it like a spam call? Like what really
Yeah.
happened?" And I think the silly questions I asked, he just hung up on me. But I
What?
could not believe that that just happened. So when I was doing your research, I genuinely want to know that when you exactly found out that you are officially on 40 under 40 CEO list of Forbes, what really happened in your mind, and how was the reaction? What really happened? And I also want to go deeper into it, that for all the dreamers, including me, who aspire to be on maybe the Forbes list one day, how do you actually manage to get in there? So is there any personal trait which you think that which actually differentiated you from everyone else?
So I'm gonna kind of do a backstory here. I was subcontracting for other agencies a while, or we were for a while, and I ended up I was in contact with LA Fashion Magazine, um, Nina Vargas. I was pitching her when I was in 2009 when I started old agency, and I was, so excited. She'd always respond and would come to our events, and I'm like, this is so cool. She's
Mm.
awesome, and we had been in contact, for years, and finally met in person at a photo shoot, and we were with another agency at the time, and she pulled me aside and she's like, you should be doing this yourself. Like, you should. I'm like, well, I do, but like, she's like, but you can do this and you can do this better. And I mean, I'm not the type of person who likes to be in the limelight. Like, I actually hate it. And I'm like, I like to promote everybody else and I like to be behind the scenes, and, that makes me happy. But she really, I don't know. She just really struck something when she did say that. And I knew in my head, a lot of people I've worked with in the PR industry, I mean, there's a lot of drama. It's a lot of like chaos.
Yeah,
It's
same.
it's just, there's a lot of things going on in the back end, and that's just not who I am.
Mm.
I see so many things happen and I keep it very even keel. Like nothing is the end of the world. Like nobody's dying. We got
Mm.
this. Like my mantra is like keeping it calm. And
Mm. Mm.
um, I think that was one thing that resonated with her. And so we kept in contact for a while. I did start doing a lot more on JCO. Um, and then she started calling me, and it was at one of the times I just had lost my best friend who was working for us too. Like I knew her since third grade, and she had two kids the same age as mine. We literally grew up together, and she started working for JCO as like an office manager. And I started going every chemo with her, and she beat it. And then suddenly, like it was just a sudden thing that she had gotten pneumonia and she passed within like 24 hours. And so that really just gutted me. And I remember Nina, like after that, just kept calling me and calling me. And I'm like, why is she calling me? Like, I mean, I'm not really that big, like, I'm not a big deal. Like, she just, she kept calling me, just talk to me. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, not weird, but I'm like, she's a big deal. And like, why is she
Yeah,
trying to talk
why?
to me, And she really became like my mentor, just a very positive influence in my life and really pushed me out of, so many mental things that I was dealing with internally that, it was just a really hard time. And she was like my marketing, like she was like my unicorn, I call her. So yeah, I went through all that, and she's the one that submitted me for the Forbes. I mean, we had eventually done a lot of work together, partnerships. I mean, we really became like a yin and yang. She's like my sister agency now because she does a lot more digital photo shoot, like strategy type of thing, and we do more of the PR. So we became very close, and she's become like kind of a, a sister to me, but she lives in New York and I live in San Diego. We're, you know, cross country, but she has been a great mentor and has pushed me through a lot. Um, and so when she submitted me for Forbes, I was like, this is crazy. It's not, going to happen, whatever, but like, that's fine. Um, and then it's been kind of a hit after hit kind of couple years. I was going through my divorce last year, and I was just, it just was a really difficult time, and it was just a difficult time. I was having a hard time just kind of like staying focused and staying positive, and um like I've been always the type that has been so like on it, like on my email, on my phone, just constantly on it. And like after my best friend had passed, and then like going through the divorce, and I just was having a hard time, like
Yeah.
just yeah. So like last year during Christmas, I was just you know, it was the first time I didn't have my kids, and I let my phone die, and I was just so just like at a point where I'm just like I have nothing left, you know? And I remember I let my phone die, and I woke up and I looked, and she sent me the article and everything, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." Like I'm literally in bed. I don't feel like a amazing CEO right now. I don't, you know, I don't feel like I'm anything, you know? And I like the moment I got it, I was like, I'm exactly the opposite of what I should be feeling right now. But I remember it was like, I don't know. I mean, I felt so grateful inside. And also I'm like, okay, like it almost just made me feel like I'm like, okay, I have still something to give, and I need to keep pushing myself to do this. And I mean, for somebody that doesn't like to be in limelight, I was like, I don't even know what to do with this. You know, I like it's hard for me to share that I to anybody, but you know, she's pushed me out of my comfort zone so much and has pushed me to share my expertise and share, you know, everything that you know, our agency can give that other agencies don't. And she's like, you're different. You guys are different. You're different. Like you have a heart, you have soul, you care. It's really hard to find. And she has that same morale. So I feel like we connected in the right time. And
Yeah.
I do like I give her like so many thanks in so many different ways. She's been such a rock for me. And it's
Love
hard to
that.
do it by yourself. You know, it's hard to do it by yourself when you're a
Yeah.
woman and
Yeah, I love that.
staying strong through it all. Yeah. But
But
I'm just, yeah, I'm too honest. I feel like I tell stories that I'm like, that's
no,
one thing I
but
don't do is fluff. I'm just very, very blunt about what is going
no,
on. Yeah.
no, thank you. I mean, thank you for being so candid. And I wish I could come and give you a tight hug.
Oh.
But no, genuinely, I am very, very grateful that you are so candid. But um, I have actually learned very hard way that when the universe takes somebody from your life, it
Hmm.
replaces you with not as good as that person, even sometimes better, or maybe give you in different ways. They fill your life up with
Hmm.
some other more beautiful people. And I'm glad that, you found that in her after losing one of your best friends. Um, so you basically submit an application where you think that you deserve. Is that how it works in the Forbes list?
Yeah, she submitted it.
No, I mean
On,
anyone can submit on
oh,
your behalf or
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's the nominations
oh,
come
okay.
once a
So
year.
they don't reach out to you.
Well, after, I mean, they reach out to let you know and they ask
Okay.
questions and stuff, but you don't
Okay.
ever know if you're actually going to be
There or not, or you
there or
make
not.
it
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it to
yeah.
the
So it was a
list or
complete
not.
surprise. Yeah, yeah.
But well done you. That's so inspiring. And though I know you said that, you don't want to be in front of the limelight or you don't want to be on a magazine cover or article, but imagine what it does to so many people like me, when I saw that and it was so inspiring.
Oh,
So do not dim your light that, oh, no, 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 I don't deserve to be there because it's not just for you, but that can have an impact on a lot of other people too. But
thank you.
you are a partner with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental
Hmm.
Illness, which is a very powerful move in the industry, which is actually talking about the flawless optics all the time. So, did your association help in understanding how and what people go through? Because they say that 72% of the entrepreneurs face mental health challenges.
Hmm.
So, what was that one fascinating thing which you found which actually baffled your mind after having association with NAMI?
Mm, I started getting involved with NAMI through one of my clients that they were doing kind of men's suits and giving confidence to men, and the entrepreneur was struggling with like you know his own mental health, and that was a big thing for him to push within his brand. And so we reached out to NAMI to see if they wanted to partner with him, and they have all these different celebrity and, you know, high influential people that are actually involved with NAMI
Mm-hmm.
that give a lot of opportunities to the associations that work or that become partners with NAMI. So they give so many great, I mean, they're such a great um, like organization. Like the
Mm-hmm.
people within it have been so respectful, but they've also really helped brainstorm opportunities to kind of get the word out and to really, I guess, normalize mental health issues. And
Yeah.
I know it's always been like it's been a talking point for a long time for a lot of people, but I guess you don't really know the struggles until you go through them. Like it's really
Mm-hmm.
hard to pinpoint, oh, I'm dealing with this or I'm dealing with that. And obviously it's something you don't really ever want to share with people because it's like that gives me either a disadvantage or there's something wrong with me or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. But I think NAMI really showcases that people of any caliber deal with having a mental health
Mm-hmm.
issue in some shape, way, or form. I mean, even pregnancy, you can get postpartum or, grief, loss, everything kind of turns into some, mental health issue that you're struggling with. And
Mm-hmm.
they give so many resources to people and connections that really help uplift communities. And they do a lot of sponsorships and, collaborations. I think it's a really great organization to be a part of or to be able to join. I think anybody can eventually join if you submit the
Mm-hmm.
application. But I think it's always going to be something that weighs on me because I know how it feels. And I
Mm-hmm.
know to me, I'm like, it's crazy how many people own businesses. And for me, I've like had so many hits and I'm like, there's only, I stay positive as much as I can, but I think you get to a point where your cup is so full and it's just so hard to breathe through the day or to really manage your outside life or your business while
Mm-hmm.
dealing with things that are weighing heavily on you or really affecting your own personal life. So I think really being able to network with people that have gone through it or to be able to talk to people that can resonate and give you guidance or
Mm-hmm.
some sort of, suggestion of how to kind of move through
Mm-hmm.
those circumstances, I think is a big thing for a lot of people and entrepreneurs to be able to talk to because a lot of times
Yeah.
you're in your own head and it's
Yeah.
hard to talk to anybody else.
Very true, very
Hmm.
true. And I want to pick up on something which we have already spoken in a way that the AI, which is actually on
Hmm.
everyone's tongues right now. The question is that the industry or currently the situations we're in, I think the authenticity builds everything, right? And the
Hmm.
trust actually is built on more vulnerability over perfection. So, in the world of AI, what do you think when the AI can actually make 10,000 personalized, pitches in like seconds?
Hmm.
How do you think that the human intervention at JCO can actually differentiate compared to what AI has brought to create more authentic, vulnerable side of the human story?
I mean, editors, I think they know immediately if things are written AI. And
Yeah,
a lot of the editors we work with were so, I mean, we're on such a, you know, connection based, like we were able to talk to them, email them quickly or text them or, we have that communication because it's been so long that we've had these connections. And, you know, a lot of our pitches or commentary, if they run through AI trackers. So
really.
if things, yes. So if like our clients respond in AI and they run it through their tracker, we will get blacklisted. So we make sure that anything written by our clients or we submit that we run it through something that shares, oh, this is AI generated or this is, human, which is kind of crazy because there's stuff that I've written myself and it comes up AI. So I'm like, that's kind of a little bit
Mm,
frustrating, but I mean, I think that that kind of really human-centric things, I mean, it makes you still having it's trying to get people to still have the organic um creativeness that I
mm,
think that we need to still have.
mm.
Um, AI does a lot of great things. They have great tools. I
Yeah.
think using it as a tool, but not necessarily as your company.
Replacement.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's when it first started, I'm like, oh my God, this is scary. And but now it's I mean, I can see it from a mile away if things are AI, or generated or whatever it may be, but um it I think that there always has to be that human aspect to it, whether you're dealing with the media or you're dealing with clients or
Hmm.
it's the empathy. Like they're not going to be
Yeah.
able to connect with people on that level,
Yeah.
even when you're giving commentary or whatever it may be. So I think that that human-centric um, state of mind is it's always has to be there. I think for
Yeah.
everybody to
Yeah.
stay sane.
Yeah, true. And it's not, I think the humans can be unpredictable, AI cannot be, right? I think that's something which I feel is the biggest differentiator.
Hmm.
Um, but I want to
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I want to pick something which is very, very personal, or rather someone's journey I am super inspired by, which is Taylor Swift.
Hmm.
It's out of your own roster, but I really want to talk about her as a case study because we have never seen, at least I don't think that I have ever seen a brand loyalty on the scale. And aside from Taylor Swift's obviously being a brilliant artist, but what do you think is the secret sauce of her PR agency? And how does she do what she has done in terms of creating her own playbook, which is so fascinating and inspiring for so many people across the globe?
I I mean, obviously they do a great job. I know it's being in the spotlight that much or being a celebrity publicist is so difficult. I mean, it's a lot of work and you have to be
Mm,
on game all the time. Um, for me, I don't know Taylor personally or anything, but I think she has the drive and I
mm,
think she has the ability to kind of see through the noise
mm,
and she has a good PR team that really helps kind of amplify her messaging in a positive way.
mm,
Um, and she really just is bold and takes really, I mean, I feel like she's really bold in a lot of ways to be able to take so many different, steps or, roads that
mm,
have led her to where, I mean, even just, I know that like dating somebody doesn't necessarily mean it's doing a publicity stunt, but I mean, just her being with, a football player, she has gained so many audiences just to watch football. Like
mm,
her, I mean, I think her brand loyalty is so huge because she has been so monumental and like so real for
yeah,
a lot of her, her
fan.
audiences, and she's constantly gaining good rapport. And I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened that she can't control, or her breakups have been in public eye. I mean, I couldn't even imagine that.
Mm.
How like,
How do you deal with it? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure she's dealing mental health issues too that are behind the scenes,
100%.
and she comes out just looking beautiful and fine, and
No,
it's like, what the heck?
she's into
I mean, that's
yeah.
publicity right there, that she just looks good and she can be positive and she just keeps going, after
Mm.
hit after hit, or getting, being, you know, having bad things said about her, and she's still,
Yeah.
out there and with a smile on her face. And I think that that is the biggest thing from my point of view, that she's so positive and so
Yeah.
many ways for a lot of people and real,
Yeah, I think I also picked up from what you said is being real, and her PR agency has actually amplified that because
Hmm.
entire era store it was mad, and I was whenever I watch her and when I see so many millions of women cheering her, I mean that just makes my soul very happy that I haven't seen anything like this. Most of the times when women celebrate men or vice versa, and for different various reasons, and nothing right or wrong, but this just creates a sort of community of Swifties, and it's just beautiful, inspiring case study in front of my eyes. And therefore I thought that, I mean, apart from just what she does, there is a huge role for her PR team to play, and that's why I just wanted to understand that, apart from, like, what have they actually. Cool. So, Jesse, let's talk about Hidden Local, which you have started. And we live in the world obsessed with global scaling, going viral, millions of views, which are actually something which decides everything, all the brand associations. So, what's exactly is the mission behind this move, and why did you want to start something so different?
So Hidden Local is started resonating. I have a friend here in Alpine, which is outside of San Diego, and we're called East County, San Diego, and it kind of has a bad, not a bad rep, but there's really no highlight or publication or outlet or anything that highlights our regional, you know, anything that's good in our region. And there's so many good and small businesses out here that for me, it's almost like a pet project that I want to kind of help the local businesses showcase, everything good that they are doing. In a, San Diego has San Diego Magazine and Lifestyle Magazine, and there's so many great opportunities, but it doesn't highlight kind of the outskirts. So, eventually we want to kind of branch out to other regions that aren't getting good highlights, um, nationally eventually, but I mean, starting small scale
Hmm.
as far as really connecting with, the mom and pop shops and people that are actually really doing good that deserve the highlight. And yeah, it's a pet project that I'm
Love
doing with
that. So
somebody.
it's
Yeah.
basically creating a sort of community in your own area and the hometown,
Hmm.
and sort of being recognized locally, which is okay. So that's why it's Hidden Local. I love the name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. And when Jesse, PR is often, just not as much as the stories you tell, but it's also the stories you don't tell. So, what is that one hard no which you had to tell a client no, that, someone who is desperate for a specific event or specific high profile placement, and you had to educate them that this is a bad idea, you can't go ahead.
That's a good question. Um, I mean, I know like obviously we say no if it's like visibility that would cost them their credibility. Um, we've walked away from headlines that would have spiked attention and destroyed trust, not only for them, but for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so many, there's those fine lines that, obviously we work with a lot of great people, but there are people that, you don't necessarily align with, I think,
Yeah.
morally.
Yeah.
And putting out, whether it's like political or something that's very that we don't necessarily not necessarily believe in, but like we don't align with, and
Mm.
that can really hinder our growth.
Yeah.
Or, we're not just going to do something for the money. That's not how we work. I mean, genuinely want to work with good people and highlight what they do well. And I mean, we've worked with agencies that don't care who they work with, and
Mm.
we're not that. I mean, we don't have heart behind anything that isn't good morally and would really hinder our growth just to get money in our pockets. So I don't think it's a hard no for us. Honestly, we have no
Yeah,
problem saying no if it doesn't,
feel
ethically
right.
align
Yeah.
with what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And just want to understand that if there is a founder who is building a brand today, doesn't have crazy budgets or, focus right now, but what are the three still you think that the high impact, non-negotiable strategy a founder should actually execute before they sign up like a huge PR agency like yours, apart from just the media coverage or using the socials?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of a machine nowadays. We always suggest to obviously update their content and being able to be consistent on all channels. So we suggest, the public relations, really highlighting the brand story, the founder. Um, if they have like a product or consumer packaged good, really get them up to speed on, their affiliate links and anything that is going to help to drive the traffic. I think
Mhm.
affiliate is a big one these days because editors request products with affiliates.
Hmm.
Um, so we really kind of get them up to speed PR wise. We always help them get the groundwork done.
Mhm.
Um, and kind of give them versatile opportunity to speak on because if they're a beauty brand and they created this beauty brand, there's other ways to kind of headline their title to be able to speak on other opportunities, not just their own. I think it gives, commentary opportunities are really big too. It's not necessarily a full focus brand, but you can give them more trust and credibility, and you can still share that you've been, placed on these bigger outlets, just giving your insight to different outlets.
Mhm. And that also gives you diversified audiences as well, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
who are
Yes.
just not into fashion or skincare, but somebody who is into gadgets also can
Mm-hmm.
actually, yeah, suddenly get to know about your brand. I think, yeah, it's a brilliant strategy. I never thought like that, but very true. And last but
Yeah.
not least, Jesse, I want to ask you that what's a one piece of advice you would give it to every listener who is listening today? Because each one of us are also individual brands. So, what is your one piece of advice you would give it to everyone?
I would say stay true to yourself. Be yourself, no matter what. Don't go against your beliefs or, really listen to your gut feelings. I know everybody needs to work and get to a point where they can, really get more opportunity by the experience. But I think you really have to just believe in yourself that you can do it and you can be a voice that you have the voices that you have inside you and be yourself, and you don't need to change who you are to do what you love.
Love that. On that note, before I let you go, I'm just going to ask very quick rapid fire questions. Shoot away whatever comes to your mind and just very quick. So, one word describe the PR agency in 2026. What's the one word?
Human.
The best piece of advice you ever received.
Do it scared, but do it clean.
Love that. If you could meet 16 years old Jessie today, what would you tell her?
Trust your instincts. You're usually always right.
One book you would recommend everyone should read.
Hmm, that's a good one. Um, Oh my gosh, I haven't read a book in so long. I mean, I've skimmed them.
Okay.
Um,
Or any podcast you would recommend everyone to listen.
I love Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins. Oh, I did read her book too. Yeah, she's
Okay.
she's amazing. Very
Yeah, she
inspiring.
is. She is.
Hmm.
One PR trend you wish would disappear tomorrow.
Would disappear.
Yeah.
Um, performance authenticity, or like, KPIs.
Tangible, yeah, tangible
Yes.
impact. What's
Mhm.
the most effective mode of PR today?
Um, Thought leadership.
How do you stay on top of your trends and news, what's happening every single day, especially for the clients you manage?
Direct journalist relationships, and watching culture, not just stats.
Amazing. And what's your daily self-care routine?
Stay alive.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you on that very note, Jessie. Thank you so much for sharing your candid, authentic story. I had a blast talking to you. Thank you
Me
for
too. Yeah, thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
me, and sorry about
I mean,
my.
you have shown us that when you see people fully beyond just logos and titles and digital noise, you don't just help them scale, but you actually give them wings to fly. So this is something so special, and I really wish that, a lot of people will listen to this and pick something up from this, because I'm trying to create a community where this is not just the podcast, it's more like a virtual coffee date. It's a warm hug to all the women who are listening today, and it could actually, help them build something which they aspire to be. And that's why, to all the listeners, credibility isn't just a gift, it's a compound interest. So stop chasing the headlines, but start becoming your own story, which is impossible to ignore, even when people are judging you, and you find only yourself in the room where no one sees you. So don't shrink, but just, find your own way to shine, because just like Jessica, you are also a force. So stay powerful. Until next time, stay amazing, stay powerful, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to You Are a Force. Hit subscribe and join us next week for more powerful stories from women rewriting the rules. Until then, keep building, keep leading, and remember, you are a force.